Last night, while you were trying to sleep, your brain replayed a conversation from 3 years ago and found 17 things you should have said differently. You already knew the situation was over. The other person had forgotten about it completely. But your brain? Your brain filed it under unfinished business. What if I told you that has nothing to do with anxiety? Nothing to do with weakness? Nothing to do with being broken? What if the real reason you cannot stop overthinking is actually a sign of something most people will never have? If you have ever read a text message 10 times, trying to figure out what the person really meant. If you have ever rehearsed a conversation in your head before it even happened. If you have ever lain awake at night, running through every possible outcome of a decision until the decision stopped feeling like a decision at all, then you already know what it feels like to live inside an overthinking mind, and you have probably spent years believing something was wrong with you. Today we are going to prove that belief completely wrong and replace it with something far more interesting. Here is what the research actually shows about overthinking. And I want you to pay close attention, because what you are about to hear contradicts everything you have ever been told about your own mind. Overthinking is not a disorder. It is not a flaw. It is not even a bad habit. It is a symptom. A symptom of a brain that is working exactly as it was designed to work, just in the wrong environment. And once you understand what that environment is, everything changes. Stay with me. Let us start with what is actually happening inside an overthinking brain. Your brain has a system called the default mode network. Scientists discovered this almost by accident. They were scanning brains and noticed something strange. When people were given nothing specific to think about, certain parts of the brain did not go quiet. They became more active. This default mode network is your brain on autopilot. It activates when you are daydreaming, when you are remembering the past, when you are imagining the future, when you are trying to understand what other people think of you. In overthinkers, this network is not just active, it is hyperactive. It runs constantly, in the background of everything you do, a second layer of consciousness that never fully powers down. And here's the first thing most people get completely wrong about this. That hyperactivity is not a malfunction. It is the same brain system responsible for creativity, empathy, complex problem solving, and the ability to think 10 steps ahead of everyone else in the room. But here is where it gets deeply uncomfortable. The brain that cannot stop overthinking and the brain of a highly creative genius are the same brain. Studies of highly creative and intellectually gifted individuals show consistently elevated default mode network activity. In other words, the minds most prone to overthinking are statistically the same minds responsible for the greatest art, the greatest literature, the greatest scientific breakthroughs in human history. Albert Einstein described his thinking process as an almost unbearable mental restlessness, a mind that refused to settle. And you have been calling that same quality a problem? Now, to be clear, overthinking is painful. I am not going to pretend otherwise. The loops, the replays, the what-ifs, they are exhausting and real. But the cause of that pain is not weakness. The cause is a powerful brain that was never taught how to direct its own energy. Let us go deeper into the actual mechanics of what is happening. There are 3 core psychological drivers behind chronic overthinking, and each one tells you something important about who you are. Driver 1, the threat detection system. The human brain has a threat detection system called the amygdala. Its entire job is to keep you alive. It scans everything. It looks for what could go wrong. It remembers every bad thing that has ever happened to you, and it uses those memories to predict what might hurt you next. In overthinkers, this system is calibrated higher than average. It is not broken. It is simply more sensitive, like a smoke detector that goes off when you burn toast. The alarm is real. The fire is not always. Every loop, every replay, every what if is your brain trying to protect you. The problem is, it cannot tell the difference between a genuine threat and an uncomfortable memory. Driver 2. Unresolved emotional loops. The second driver is something psychologists call the Zeigarnik effect. Your brain remembers unfinished things far more vividly than completed ones. A task you completed last week? Your brain has already filed it away. A conversation that ended badly with no resolution? Your brain keeps it open, like a tab in a browser that never closes. Overthinking is not random. Your brain is specifically returning to the things that feel unresolved. The relationship that ended without explanation. The opportunity you did not take. The version of yourself you have not yet become. These are not random intrusive thoughts. These are open files, and your brain will keep returning to them until it believes the loop is closed. Driver 3. High emotional intelligence. The third driver is the one no one talks about. Most chronic overthinkers score significantly higher than average on emotional intelligence. They are deeply attuned to other people. They notice micro-expressions, shifts in tone, what someone does not say. And because they pick up so much information from every interaction, they have more to process than the average person. When someone seems distant, the overthinker does not assume they are probably just tired. They run a full internal investigation. What did I say? What did I miss? What changed? That is not insecurity. That is a highly empathetic brain doing what it was built to do, trying to understand people at a level most never attempt. Now here is the dark truth that most psychology videos never reach. Overthinking is not caused by thinking too much. It is caused by feeling too much in a world that never taught you what to do with that. Most overthinkers learned very early that their internal world was too much for the people around them. They were told, "You think too much. Stop worrying. You are being too sensitive." So they learned to keep it inside. They stopped expressing the thoughts, but the thoughts did not stop. They just turned inward, and a mind that cannot express outward begins to consume itself. The loops are not madness. They are the sound of a deep mind with nowhere to go. And here is what makes this truly painful. The people who overthink the most are usually the most considerate people in any room. They replay the conversation because they care about how you feel. They rehearse what they will say because they do not want to hurt you. They analyze every outcome because they take their decisions seriously. The very thing that tortures them is evidence of their depth. If everything we have covered today describes you, here is what it actually means. It means your brain was built for depth in a world that rewards speed. It means you feel the weight of things others walk past without noticing. It means you have a capacity for connection and understanding that most people never develop in an entire lifetime. And it also means you have been at war with your own greatest strength. The overthinker does not need to think less. They need to think differently. The difference between an overthinking mind that suffers and an overthinking mind that creates is not intelligence, it is direction. Unguided, the same mental energy that could write a novel rewrites a text message 47 times instead. The tool is extraordinary. It simply needs a purpose worthy of its power. So what do you actually do with all of this? I want to give you 3 things that genuinely help, not because they will silence your mind, but because they will teach you how to work with it. The first thing, name the loop. When your mind starts replaying something, instead of trying to stop it, ask it a direct question. What is unresolved here? Not why am I like this? Not what is wrong with me? Rather ask, what is unresolved? Because your brain is returning to something for a reason. Find the reason and the loop loses its grip. The second thing, give your mind a real problem to solve. An overthinking brain left without direction will create problems to fill the space. But give it a complex creative or intellectual challenge, and watch what happens. It does not overthink. It performs. Writing, building, creating, strategizing, anything that requires depth of thought. These are not distractions from overthinking. They are the correct environment for the mind that cannot stop. The third thing, stop trying to think your way to certainty. The deepest source of overthinking is the desperate search for certainty in an uncertain world. The overthinking mind believes, if I think about this enough, I will eventually find the answer that makes it safe. But some things do not have a safe answer. Some outcomes cannot be predicted. Some people cannot be fully understood. And the moment you accept that uncertainty is not a problem to be solved, but a condition to be lived, the loops begin to quiet, not because you figured everything out, but because you stopped needing to. You did not choose to be someone who thinks this deeply. You were built this way, and for a long time the world made you feel like that was a burden. Like your mind was a problem that needed fixing. But here is what I want you to carry with you after today. The same mind that kept you awake at 3 a.m. is the same mind capable of understanding people at a level most never reach. The same mind that replays every conversation is the same mind that will never stop caring about the people in its life. The same mind that sees every possible way things could go wrong is the same mind that sees every possible way things could go right. You do not need a quieter mind. You need a life deep enough to hold one.